Good evening, everyone. We're back here at PulseoTV with the conversation series we're doing about the sport. And tonight we have the guys from the island of Antigua on the Caribbean. This is an effort I'm doing to get all the arm wrestlers in the Caribbean together to meet each other and maybe do something together in the future.
Definitely.
I'm gonna let Antonio introduce himself, and we're gonna start talking about some topics we have tonight.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Antonio. I'm from Antigua and Barbuda, small little island between, in the Caribbean, the Leeward Islands. And yeah, we're a very small group that started arm wrestling last year. And we're looking forward to growing it. We've, received recognition from, the greats, Dev, Larry, then, we've gotten some attention and, we're looking to grow even bigger, on the international scale, compete and, on the international level too.
Yeah. We're in the Caribbean and all over the world, the arm wrestling community, even if it is a sport that it's done all over the world, it's still a small community. In Puerto Rico, we are a small community of arm wrestlers, but we have a culture of arm wrestling because since the 80s, I was born in 1981, and since the 80s, there's always been arm wrestling in some sort of way in the island. I wanted to know the history of the sport of arm wrestling over there. Did it started recently? Does it have a history on the island?
I would say that arm wrestling in Antigua is kind of like, it was always done as, for fun in school, primary, from growing up, everybody, if you test your strength, the boys playing with each other on the table. That sounded weird, but it was like that. We never
know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you test your strength,
Yeah, and it never went deeper than that. Never ever went deeper than that. We never had tournaments that I know of. We never had any, never had any major events. And in grade 6, the 6th grade, I had my first initiation into arm wrestling where, some older guys came to my school and, wanted to test my strength. And I beat both of them, and they were 5 years older than me on both hands. And I was like, yo, I'm actually good at this, right? That was 6th grade. And then I went into 7th grade and, that passion just continued until I got my entire school arm wrestling, right?
Nice. Those guys that were older than you that went looking for you at school to test your strength, who were they?
They were no major arm wrestlers. They were just regular guys that, was like, yo, let's arm wrestle.
But they knew about the sport.
No. Well, in the sense that they didn't know about, the setup. They didn't know about any of that. It was just regular, don't move your hand, don't move your body, just move your hand. That's all they knew about arm wrestling. No, no technicality, no over the top, nothing like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So the sport of arm wrestling is practically being born today with your group in the island of Antigua.
Yeah. So how that started now, let me get into how it started. One of my best friends, right? That's where, I got the name BrothersinArmz268, right? That's our brand. In college, not even college, in high school, my last year of high school, I met somebody just as strong as me, right? Where, you always feel like you're the strongest guy until you meet that one real strong guy and it's like, yo, and I have to buck up my game, I have to get more serious. And we were always back and forth. And we used to always go at it until we reached college and was like, yo, bro, let's start up something. Let's actually instill arm wrestling, the professional sport, because, we got so much into it. We went on YouTube, started looking up techniques, learned about John Berzing, learned about Richard Lopez, Devin Larad, Cobra Rhodes, the big names. And we was just studying them, me and him, just two guys, just studying him. studying all these peoples, all these techniques, all these movies, all these events and tournaments, just two guys. And it was like, yo, bro, let's set up a tournament, let's set up a club. And that's how arm wrestling really began. And that was last year, like February, late January, we started that.
Of last year, 2021.
Last year, 2021.
Dude, that's an awesome story. Really.
You,
it's an awesome story. You just from the ground up started something going on over there, and people liked it, and you guys involved, right?
Definitely.
And every day is growing, as I see from your content on Instagram. Every day is a new guy trying and learning with you. Even ladies.
We take a lot of videos because we find it so fun. I don't know. There's no feeling like arm wrestling. There's no sport that gives you that exhilaration, that challenge like an arm wrestle. You know, from an arm wrestler to an arm wrestler, it's like there's no other sport. You know, and we just share that passion with everybody.
Arm wrestling is a sport that history has told us that even cavemen did it.
Yeah.
If they wanted to fight over a rock, they've settled things arm wrestling.
Definitely.
So it's a sport that it's an endured time. And it's a sport where it's only you versus the other guy, and you gotta find a way to win. It's willpower, it's strength, it's gotta be smart. It's a plain blunt sport of one-on-one. You know?
Definitely.
That's why we are passionate about it. You know?
Absolutely.
And to tell you a little bit about the sport over here in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, when I was growing up, I was always hearing about this big tournament that was held in Puerto Rico. And if you've been researching about arm wrestling, you have heard about the Yukon Jack tournament, right?
That one you had in December?
No, it was a tournament in the 70s and 80s and early 90s that was held in the United States, when it was Cliff Dean, Richie Lucas, John Percent, Gary Goodrich, everybody from North America went to even Europe went to that tournament. It was a big tournament, but in Puerto Rico we had a tournament called Pulseo Medalla, where big guys and strong guys competed for a big prize, and that was held for about better part of the 80s, early 90s, and it was a big tournament, and they had big promoters, and they went on TV and TV shows doing arm wrestling, and it was a pretty popular sport in the island back then. When that tournament died out, the sport almost died. It was little local tournaments, and there was a time that nobody was arm wrestling in Puerto Rico, because the hardest part of this sport is the simplest one. Nobody has an arm wrestling table.
Yeah.
Nobody has, not everybody has access to an arm wrestling table, you know? And that was the hard part. Now, back in 2010, this guy, a good friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine called Joe Cortez from the north part of Puerto Rico, the municipality of Florida. He's a welder. So when he started his way into the sport, he started building tables. And that's how the sport has been growing. Let's say like it has a second wind. Since Joe came in and started building these tables and selling them, people all over the island could have access to a table. They bought it from them. Man, sometimes they got
affordable with it.
What?
How affordable with it?
Well, they are made from cast iron. So he was selling them about for $350 up.
Okay, not bad.
It's not that expensive. But the thing is, it's a one-piece table. Yeah. So it's not like the ones you get from Armbed or ECRA or Canada that are assembled. You can take them apart and assemble the back. I got one. I think there's only 2 tables in Puerto Rico that can be taken apart and put it back together. I got one, and the other one, Cali, from Naranjito, has the other one. Mine is I bought it. I remember I bought it online from when I don't think even YouTube or Facebook. I think Facebook was starting. back then. And I remember, like you, I was always researching about the sport, looking at information. And there was these sites. There was the Northwest Eastern board. That was like a blog where people went in and discussed about the sport. And I found this site that they sold equipment. And I bought that table. It cost me like $500 with shipping.
Wow.
And that table has been with me for, I don't know, 16 years. It's a little backed up. It's a little old. It's still working. Still working. And if you've seen the training videos and practices I've done in my house, you can see it. Right now that's the one I'm using. It's an old table, but it's there. And I'm trying to refurbish it, gonna do some things to make it, not look that bad, but it has a sentimental value. But the point here is, in Puerto Rico, not everybody had access to an arm wrestling table until Joe came into the picture and started building and started doing events and competitions and all the stuff, and that has gotten us here today. We have had our ups and downs because like everybody, we're human. There's always been beefs and stuff like that, and people get mad at each other and they stop practicing or whatever. But right now, I think we are the highest peak of the arm wrestling movement in Puerto Rico. And that's how I got the idea of I'm working to get every arm wrestler in the Caribbean to get to know each other, start communicating, and maybe at some point do something like visit each other, have a super match event or something of some sort. And I thank you because I texted you in Instagram and you answered like really quick, and we put this thing together that we're doing tonight. And I believe that after this first step you and me have taken, it's gonna be a lot easier to reach the other guys in the Caribbean that arm wrestle. Because I know there's Cubans that arm wrestle, or there's always the Mexicans. In Mexico, they went to the World Tournament, PAF Worlds at Orlando, Florida last year. I think, I don't know if in Haiti and the Dominican Republic there are arm wrestlers, but I know in Colombia, if you look up in Instagram, they're called Toros Arm Wrestling.
Yeah, I follow them.
They from Colombia. I DM'd them and they haven't answered me, but I've been texting them, trying to start a line of communication.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm doing this with you. And if you wanna open up and speak, I don't know about rules, what kind of rules you're using over there, because when Puerto Rico started arm wrestling, the way Puerto Ricans arm wrestle was a lot different than what it was done in the States and it's done today. It was a like big table, and the guys just grab each other hard and pull back, and there was the referee didn't put them in the center or anything like that. If we're just it's
like freedom arm wrestling,
kind of a freedom arm wrestling, but we had it was a bigger table. We had the pads, we had the pegs. But if you grab the other guy and you were stronger and you can pull him to your side and he couldn't pull you back, when the referee said go, who's going to win?
Yeah.
Because you got him here and you go to the side. And that was the way arm wrestling was done back in the day in Puerto Rico. And there's still a lot of competitors from the Pulseo Medalla from that era that sometimes come and practice. And we have like we have a hard time with them because they want to.
Yeah, because you have to be, at the ready go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they want to grab you, take your thumb, pull you back to the side, and they say, "Oh, just say go," and we don't arm wrestle like that. Actually, you get injured a lot easier arm wrestling like that than the way that it's done today, because the way the rules are today, I believe, is to protect the athlete.
Yeah, there's a lot of protection. because to kind of contrast it, I feel like all old people used to arm wrestle back in the day. Just like you said, it's just like an ancient, it's like an instinct, right? And we've gone into like the town, you know, like where, you know, like the marketplace of Antigua, we call town, right? And I'd be on the street, you know, arm wrestling locals, and they're critiquing my form, not knowing that.
I lost you there.
To be seen, because they believe if you use your body weight to cheat.
Could you repeat it? I kind of lost you right there. Could you repeat it? You said you went to the marketplace and the people critique you about your technique.
Yeah. You can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah, so like going into the marketplace, like town, you know, the main town area of the island, right? You know, where everybody is most of the time. We'd go out, you know, to get content, good content, arm wrestle the public, you know, introduce the sport to Antiguans. And people not knowing arm wrestling, never arm wrestle a day in their life, you know, would be like, no, they're critiquing us. And they say, put your hand behind your back, your opposite hand behind your back, right? And here, don't move your body and just move your arm, right? Yeah. I guess that's, I don't know where that ever came from, but.
The next time somebody tells that to you, ask them, where did you get that from? Because like you said, it's instinct, it's ancient. Somebody came on how to arm wrestle like that.
Yeah.
Like in the United States, the first tournaments that were held in the United States, that was by the time Cliff Dean was arm wrestling, they were called not arm wrestling, it was wrist wrestling. And the guys they would have a table, they would have no pegs, no pads, no nothing. Then you get on the table, you put your hand here, your left hand, because there was no left hand arm wrestling, was just right. You put your hand, and the other guy put the other hand, and then he grabbed your hand. So you're grabbing each other, and you're arm wrestling like this. See, with the other guy's hand in your hand, grabbing each other, and it was like that. Look it up on YouTube. Look, wrist wrestling. It was weird. It was weird, but that was the first tournaments that were held in the United States called wrist wrestling. And John Bersang started there too. And it evolved into what we know today. So the guy that critiques your form or your technique or whatever and tells you that, just get your camera out and ask him, where did you let that where do you get that from? Because somebody had to came up with it.
Will do. Next time for sure. I'll keep that in mind.
And I mean, they think it's fairest, but I think it's the worst way to arm wrestle because you get hurt.
Yeah, because it puts so much pressure on your elbow, so much pressure, even in your shoulder, your rotator cuff. It's so painful.
Yeah. I think it's really, really bad, and we all did it when we were young. We were in school.
Yeah.
You know, arm wrestling on the top of tables and all that, and we learned the hard way that it hurt.
Yeah, I think, well, I haven't seen any broken arms in person, but I've definitely seen some online where, you know, poor form leads to, you know, bad accidents.
Now, in Puerto Rico, we have had this past 6 months, 2 broken arm incidents.
Wow.
One was at practice with some, his last name is Calero. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I know he's watching. I'm sorry. I don't remember your name. But he broke his arm in practice, and the other one was Nicolas in the last tournament. Not the last tournament, the tournament before that was in December. He broke his arm. I have video of it, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want people watching that because they start talking. And arm wrestling is like every sport. Even if you play basketball, you can break your leg. You know?
Running track, you can pull your muscles.
Yeah. And the reason of these 2 arm breaks we had is like everything. You gotta prepare your body to do the sport you're doing. And the usually when you see an arm break in a tournament, the broken bone is the humerus, and it's almost right in the middle of the bone.
Yeah.
But these guys broke their arm in this section, close to the elbow, where the bone is weakest. And what that tells me is that they went too fast.
Like an
They were
arm break
getting
position.
strong. They were getting stronger in the sport. They were feeling good in the sport pulling, but their body wasn't ready. And it broke from the weakest point. It was the closest part of the humerus that you know, gets into the elbow. Like, that's the finest part of the.
I can maybe give you a scenario. You ever like, maybe I can kind of adjust my hold on there. Like you ever went in like a deep hook, deep hook, and then you both are like super close, and then it's like literal side pressure on side pressure. Yes. I feel that's the most vulnerable part. You could, you know, vulnerable position you could be in. You know. Actually,
you're right. You're right by saying that. But even if that position, if you're right in front of each other, and you're you're feeling the pressure, but as long as you're in and you're looking at your hand and it's tight, you're pretty safe. The weakest, the worst thing you can do in arm wrestling is pull to the side with all side pressure and look away. That's how your bone, your arm gets exposed.
Yeah.
And these two arm breaks that we had these last 6 months weren't like that. They were in good position. Actually, Nicolas was winning his match, and the bone just gave up. So you can see it. He was here, and the bone just snapped. So it wasn't in a bad position. But I don't like people watching that because even I don't like watching it.
Yeah.
And I hope that you never had to go through that over there with your guys, and not now that you're just beginning. The only advice I could give you is go slow. Like there's in this sport, in our sport, there's levels. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Like I could be, I'm so strong here in Puerto Rico, but then I go and I pull whoever in some tournament in the United States, and I'm like, I got nothing for the guy. You know, there's levels here. Yeah. And when you start introducing people into the arm wrestling community, if they feel strong, they will want to go fast. And by this I mean they would want to just arm wrestle every day, try to lift heavy, and do all these sorts of things that would put them in a position that, I remember, the muscle gets strong, but the bones and the ligaments and the tendons, they take longer to get stronger. So you gotta go slow and just introduce them with exercises and movements so their body is prepared to go from 0 to 100 in seconds. You know? Yeah. And I was thinking that you're from Antigua, from Puerto Rico. I don't know. We could take a plane and get there like in 20 minutes. You know. Yeah. And I was thinking about talking to the guys and maybe plan a trip over there.
Let me tell you, Antigua is a major tourist destination. A lot of celebrities in the U.S. actually have houses over here. It's kind of like it's a big tourist destination. You should definitely check it out. Definitely check. It's super affordable. The population is only about 100,000 total. Right? Small island. Oh, definitely a good visit.
Well, I've never been in a cruise, and that's why I haven't been there. But I think cruise lines, they stop there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've never in my life been in a cruise. I've been everywhere, but I've never been in a cruise. But I think we could get a plane and get to Antigua, like from Puerto Rico. I can even I live in the western side of the island in Mayagüez, and there's even an agency here in Mayagüez that could go buy the tickets, and I think they could get me from Mayagüez to San Juan, and then from San Juan to Antigua. It would be like an hour or something.
Yeah, it's an easy flight.
Yeah,
easy flight.
And I was thinking about talking to the guys. Joe, the guy I'm telling you, he makes tables and all that, and some of the other guys that if they wanna join me in visiting you guys later this year, we will try to do it.
Definitely. And I work at a gym too, so. If you want to come and work out, I have the perfect gym for you guys.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, I saw you, who makes your tables? You?
Yeah, we make these wooden tables. So basically, I just Googled, you know, like a arm wrestling table plan, and I just made it. We just made it out of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, a friend of mine did that because he wanted the training in his house, and he did the same as you. He looked it up, he got the measures, and he made half a table.
Yeah,
just for training in his house. So your tables look good and strong.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
And people underestimate wooden tables because like a wooden table it's not that heavy, you know.
Super light, super light.
Yeah, and the ones we had over here, the Joe's, they're steel, like solid steel. They're heavy. They're heavy, you know.
Yeah, I wanted that's what I want that to be my next investment. Like actually an iron table. The thing is, it's super expensive, you know, to hire a welder to get, you know, the materials. It's super expensive here, so it's gonna take time for us.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you straight up. If you wanna invest on a table, dude, just buy one from Armbar. It's gonna be cheaper. It's gonna be cheaper than you contacting a welder and asking him to build it for you. I believe it like, I don't know now, but last time I checked with shipping and everything, and an Armbar table would cost like $400.
Yeah,
that was the last time I checked. But I do know Devin Larratt watches your content and shares it. So I don't know if he's going to watch this. I hope he does because he subscribed to my channel. Yeah. Devin, these guys are starting. You are witnessing the birth of the sport in the island of Antigua. They don't have a history of the sport in the island. This kid right here, Antonio, is giving birth to the sport in Antigua, and they would appreciate, I don't know, some kind of effort to be gifted an arm wrestling table. I don't know. People can be generous.
That'll be lovely. I love that. I love that because we train, like, I don't know, like we have this group, you know, we've created like a WhatsApp group, and, you know, we train hard every single day. We're in the gym, you know, we train in arms, you know, we do strict curls, and, you know, we're actually starting like this community of just fitness, not even, you know, not to stray away from arm wrestling, but arm wrestling is tied into so many other things. Like, you know, we arm wrestlers here in Antigua, right? I got them interested in bodybuilding, and, you know, and then using that, you know, that small community of arm wrestling, the first community we not attacked, but, you know, we kind of entered was the bodybuilding community in Antigua, which is much more on a higher level because bodybuilding everywhere, you know, does good, you know? And so we went to different gyms with the table. We built the table, went to different gyms, did gym trips, and we arm wrestled, you know, the strongest guys. And you would find them at gyms, and you'd find that we'd just easily win. We'd easily win as arm wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so we really want to build up the sport as much as possible.
Yeah, and the history of arm wrestling, and on everybody that goes to the gym and gets strong wants to test their strength. And like me, I had a bodybuilding phase when I was young. Then I started arm wrestling. When I stopped arm wrestling, I went to a powerlifting phase, and then I'm back to arm wrestling. I never stopped arm wrestling, you know.
And ties in so nicely. Ties in so nicely.
Everybody can do this. Everybody can do this. This is a sport that anybody can do it. It's not like if you want to play basketball, you got to be tall. If you want to play whatever sport, you have to have some physical ability that maybe you don't have. But when you are talking about arm wrestling, any and everybody can do this sport. And I don't know why. It's a small sport.
Yeah. From structures like Todd Hutchings to Vitali. You see how different they are?
Yeah.
Todd Hutchings versus Vitali. The short, stocky guy versus the tallest of the tall. Both of them are powerful in their own world.
Devin Larratt made a video the other day talking about the matches that are coming up, the Vitali versus Kurdesha and all that. Yeah. And he said that the super heavyweight division, that was how it's gonna look like in the future with these big, tall guys, these giants. And I'm thinking, damn, I'm almost 6 feet. I'm just 5'11", but I'm a super heavyweight. How am I gonna arm wrestle a guy that big or that tall?
Twice the arm length as you. No?
Yeah, and I was thinking they're gonna have to make a short guy division. You know, like the Olympia back in the day, the Mr. Olympia, that they had the tall guy division and the short guy division.
Yeah.
Because at some point, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. Because Arnold always won over Franco Colombo.
The guy that's 6'10", with a 5-foot arm. What am I gonna do? Chance was talking about this a while ago. They're gonna have to make, like in the super heavyweights, they're gonna have to make a short man division or something, because it's not gonna be fair. Like when you saw the Todd Hutchins versus Devin Larratt match on the WAL, Todd Hutchins is great. He's a great arm wrestler.
Powerful.
I don't see anyone having that much side pressure power. But when he was arm wrestling Devin, he was like a little kid against a man. You know,
just rise through him.
No matter how much power Todd had, Devin would just control him, but with his hand, with his hand.
Hand control. You know? It all ties in.
It's almost not fair. You know, it's almost not fair. So maybe if the sport of arm wrestling is going to be like that on the super heavyweight division, and there won't be like very few super heavyweights, or they're going to have to do a short man or under 6 feet or on the 6'1" division, because it's not going to be fair. It's not fair.
I agree.
I'm gonna ask you to give a message to the people of the Caribbean and Puerto Rico, Antigua, República Dominicana, everybody in the Caribbean, that you guys are there doing what you're doing, and that we as a community have to come together so our sport can grow. And I'm gonna put links to your social media on the description below, and your YouTube channel. You do have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask everybody that watches this video and every subscriber I have in PulseoTV to subscribe to Brothers Arm Wrestling, right?
Brothers in Arms 268.
Brothers in Arms Arm Wrestling in YouTube, and follow them and support them, because we need these guys to keep doing what they're doing, like we do in Puerto Rico and everybody else in the world of arm wrestling. And I want you to speak from your heart to the people that are watching about what you do and what we need to do to come together as a community.
All right. It's simple. Many is stronger than one. Together, we can accomplish way more than, being by ourselves individually. Because if it wasn't for Devin Larratt reposting, a couple of our videos, if it wasn't for, PulseoTV, reaching out to us, a lot of you wouldn't know us. And just like over here in Antigua, if I don't reshare this video, nobody in Antigua would know about Pulseo unless, however. But it takes a lot of teamwork in the Caribbean because we're so small. We're tiny compared to these large, America and Europe. We're tiny, super tiny. And we need to come together and find strength in unity. And I think that's the key, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I support what you're saying. And if we come together as arm wrestlers in the Caribbean, we can start doing events bigger than ourselves in our countries or our islands. And I know you heard of La Serie del Caribe. That's a baseball thing that they do, and where many countries of the Caribbean get together and have a baseball tournament. Mm-hmm. We want to do that in the Caribbean with arm wrestling. It doesn't have to be once a year, but every 2, 3 years, 4 years, we come together as a community and have an event so we know each other and we spread the word that in the Caribbean, there are strong guys that can arm wrestle.
Mm.
And maybe someday we can go toe to toe with guys like Devin Lara, John Bersenk. We got guys, Puerto Ricans in the United States, which I'm trying to find in everywhere. We got some guys in California. We got some guys in Nevada, in Las Vegas. We got guys in Florida. Noel and his brother, Noel Nunez. You can look it up in YouTube. Just put on the name, Noel Nunez. And
the name, the last name.
And videos will pop up of him. And he's Puerto Rican. He's been PA. He's been the PAF Arm Wrestling of the Year 2 times in Florida. And his brother is currently King of Florida in the 160-pound division with the left arm. So we have Puerto Ricans doing noise, you know. And we have another one in New York, Daniel. Excuse me, Daniel in New York. He's doing his thing. And I'm trying to find every Puerto Rican in the United States to have a connection with them. And I'm trying to find, like I did with you, arm wrestlers in the Caribbean to bring together and be a big community.
I feel you.
So I want to thank you for having this conversation with me and having the time to share with us your story. And I'm going to keep in contact with you because I'm going to keep doing this. And maybe you can join me when I speak with other people. I did a conversation with Todd Hotchins a while back, and I have planned to have I already scheduled a couple of more with the big name guys, and maybe you can join me in speaking with them.
Definitely. I'd love to do that.
So call, and I send you the link like I just did, and we have a conversation with him about whatever they're doing, and we share our experiences on wrestling here in the Caribbean, and it will be great. It will help you grow. We will grow, and we will,
100%. Sounds good, dog. I'm down.
So I'm gonna say please like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to PulseoTV, subscribe to Brothers in Arms from Antigua. I'm gonna ask every subscriber that I have to subscribe and support these guys. And I thank Antonio for being here with me tonight, and we'll see you next time.